Hello, so I just wanted to talk about primary colours. In the previous video we talked about Payne's grey excuse me, Payne's grey, and how to mix Payne's grey, and how there's different ways you can mix it, and there's different recipes to mix it, and how sometimes the paints that you want don't always, when you mix them up, they don't always turn into the colour you think they're going to, because they can have hidden colours in them as well, hidden primary colours, secondary colours inside the pigments, and it all depends on what pigments are in the paints as to what your result is. So if you wanted to paint apples or you wanted to paint strawberries, sometimes it's not enough to just use red paint, because sometimes they'll become muddy and dirty and you don't always get the bright colour that you wanted to start with. So you have to look at the pigments that are in them, and I just wanted to explain a little bit about the primary colours. So your primary colours is red, yellow and blue, and you need to think of these as the parents. So these are the parents of all the colours. The main people at the top of the tree are the parents. Okay, so you've got three parents, red, yellow and blue, and they are the root of every other colour. Okay, so the mum and dad, and the mum and dad and extra one, so you just got to look at them as the parents, the three parents. Okay, and if you mix red and blue together, you get purple. But sometimes if you mix cadmium red and ultramarine blue, you get brown. And you think, but red and blue makes purple, so why am I getting brown? So it's because there's hidden colours in some of these. So a cadmium red may be on the orange side, so it then becomes an orange. So red and yellow makes orange, and then missing primary colour, which is your complementary colour, is blue. So that means you're putting a missing primary colour in there, and you're going to get brown. So that's why colour theory can be confusing. So you can use red and blue together and they're not going to make purple like you think they're going to. So I'm just going to show you. So that's red and ultramarine blue. Okay, so it's roughly the same amount of each. Okay, so we're going to mix these together. So you would think you'd get purple, because that's what blue and red make purple. But I've got brown to make trees with. So look, if you look a bit closer, I don't know if you can see how brown that is, but it really is quite brown. Look, it can see against the handle and the brush. Look, that is brown. That's definitely brown. Okay, so even though blue and red make purple, they'll only make purple if they're a pure single pigment paint. So what I mean by single pigment, let's try and move this, my camera's a bit rubbish. Right, so what I mean by single pigment is these have different colours in them. So you need to look on the back, will tell you what is in each colour. So in this one, this says ultramarine PB29. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Ultramarine PB29, light fast one. Okay, and it's got in it a vehicle copolymer emulsion. So emulsion means that is the binder that is put inside with the pigment to make the paint. Okay, so that's PB29 in that one, and that is a Winsor & Newton. So cadmium red, I don't know if this one has got it on it. Some have and some haven't. Permanence is 3 stars. Cadmium red hue. Right, let's try a different one and see if we can find this one's got permanence A. Right, this is cadmium red hue. So this is the same as this one. It's a different make. So this is Winsor & Newton Galleria. So cadmium red hue. So inside this one, it's got Naphthol red, which is PR112 pigment. So let's just try this one. I haven't even tried this yet to see, but we're going to try it and see. Okay, so it's a bit thick, that one. This is Naphthol red. Okay, cadmium red hue. So we'll see how red this is. So this is ultramarine blue. So we'll see. I know they sometimes outshine each other because some of them are a stronger pigment than each other, so it doesn't always work the same way. See, this is a really thick red one. Right, so we've got blue. The red is a bit thick, so it's stuck to my brush. It's still got a big blob of red stuck to my, look, can you see it? It's stuck to my brush because it's been in the tube. But as I'm mixing this, you can see it's making a purple. So the Naphthol red is an individual pigment. Okay, so it's making a purple. See that? It's making a purple. It's a little bit browny, but it's making more of a purple. Okay. Just washing my brushes out. Oh, hang on a sec. Oh, there's a bit of red still on my... See, look, I've got quite a bit of red still. Where's the camera? Here, look. So there's a bit of red still on it. So that's making a purple. Okay. So that is so pigment is what they use to put in paint. So you could, like the brusho that we used, the brusho is a pigment and it's in a dust form, so it's in a powder form. So you can actually make your own paints with mica powders, with brusho paints, with brusho pigments. You could make your own tubes of paint and never buy a tube of paint again. So you can do that, and there are ways of doing that with buying the binders that go inside the paints. So oil colours, watercolours, pastels, acrylic, gouache, in any shade that you want. So you can mix it into acrylic paint as well, and you can buy a paint binder from Jackson's. It's like 200 millilitres, and Schminky do one for 200 millilitres, which is £17. And you just add dry pigment, mix well with a palette knife, and do it with a ratio of 1 to 2, and it can be thinned using water. So you can blend pigments with a retarder prior to adding your binder in order to slow the drying time down. But you can add the pigments in powder form, and you can use metallic powders as well. In watercolour paint binders, because you get acrylic paint binders and watercolour paint binders. In the watercolour paint binders, you get gum arabic, which is what they put on a brush when you buy a new brush, and it's a bit hard. You think, oh, I've got a hard brush. You have to crack it because it's got a gum arabic on the bristles to keep the bristles in place. And this is the same thing that they put in a binder So you would just buy it in a bottle and you mix it with your brusho or with your mica powders, and you can mix it with a palette knife and make a paint. Acrylic binders, you can also buy one for canvas sizing, which creates a strong flexible film for preparations of canvases, and it can be used as an acrylic primer for fabric surfaces as well. So you would do 2 to 3 layers and add 1 equal part of water. So yeah, so that's that. So I just wanted to kind of go over that. Let me just, I wrote a few notes down to remind me. So a lot of this, what I wrote down, was about acrylic binders, which is making your acrylic paints. It's polymer emulsion, which you buy. The pigments, you can add water. You can also add a thickening agent if you want to, like cornstarch. A preservative you can add, which is glycerin. You don't have to, but you can. And you can store it in glass jars or plastic containers. If you want to do oil paint binders, they're normally done with linseed oil, poppy oil, walnut oil, and the type of oil binder used can also impact the drying time, the film strength, and whether the colour will yellow over time. Water mixable oil paints are genuine oil paints, but the oil base has been modified so that it can be mixed with water. The light fastness on a tube describes the resistance to fading. So it's caused by sunlight and daylight and UV light. Okay, so light fastness is a rating conform to standards set by the ASTM, which measure exposure to natural daylight and light from indoor sources. So some manufacturers use a permanence scale, which is this one. This has permanence 3 on it. It's got 3 stars. And some use a light fastness scale. So this one says light fastness 1. So 1 is excellent. Permanence scale 3, so that is fair. So light fastness 1 is excellent. So that means it's not going to fade. It's not going to, natural daylight is not going to ruin your painting if it's left, you know. I wouldn't leave them in sunlight as a rule, but it just says that, you know, that's how much they guarantee the quality of the paints. So different paints have got different light fastness. So this one's got permanence A. See, look, this is a cadmium yellow medium hue, and it's got 2 pigments in it, PY73 and PY83. So that's got 2 colours in that. Light fastness 1, so it's an excellent one. Let's try this one. This says, let's see, conforms to ASTM. So that means that it's gone through the light fastness measure, you know, they've measured it. Natural red, I can't find where it says light fastness. I'm looking, can't find it on that one. Oh, permanence A, there you go. So that's excellent. Let's find a Daily Rowney one, yellow ochre. Let's see what this says. Permanence 4. This has got iron oxide in it. Okay, so permanence 4 stars. So the different ratings you will see on different tubes. So you're going to start looking now at different tubes of paint to see. This is permanent 3 stars. Quinacridone Deep Purple. The only pigment in this is quinacridone, so it's his own colour. You can't mix this colour and you can't make this colour. So this is his own pigment, and the paint is made with 1 pigment and 1 colour only. So it's not going to veer towards the yellow or veer towards the blue. It's going to be its own colour, and the only way it will veer to them colours is if you add extra colours with it. So That's it on that one. So this one is Permanent Rose. Okay, so this is Permanence A, which I would imagine is excellent. Light Fastness 1, Pigment, Quinacridone and PV19. So we'd have to go to the Winsor & Newton site to find out what pigment the PV19 is, because I don't actually know. So that's got 2 pigments in it. Okay, so that's that one. Right, this one is a Winsor & Newton Burnt Umber. This is Permanence AA. It says it's got natural iron oxide, PBR7. Oh no, PB7. And let's see what else it says. So it doesn't actually say what the light fastness is on that one, but a AA permanence. So that's the pigment in that. So let's go to this one. So this was Burnt Umber. This is Raw Sienna. Okay, so this is a Permanence AA. So let's have a look at this one. So this pigment, this one was natural iron oxide PB7. This one is iron oxide, and it's got PY42 plus it's got transparent PR101. So that's got 2 in it as well. That's all that's got in it. And this is Indo Orange Red. So it's got Indian Throne and a PO43. So I would imagine, because it's an orange red, it's got yellow in it as well. So I would imagine one of these is a yellow. So because that's an orange and it's a red and a yellow, if you put a blue next to it, you're going to get brown, because that is your complementary colour to orange. Blue and orange makes brown. Together, next to each other, they make fantastic paintings, because they are complementary colours. So they're opposite on the colour wheel, they're complementary colours, they go well next to each other, but together they make brown. What's this one? This is a ultramarine blue again, Ultra PB29, Permanence, 3 stars. No light fastness, but it just says 3 stars. So I think that's a good, it's good to look at that and to see just what they say. So Naphthol Crimson, so it's got Naphthol Red and PR7 in it, in this crimson. And this one is Alizarin Crimson. So it's got quinacridone dioxine, which is a purple, dioxine purple, PR177 and PV23. So you know that's got dioxine in it. So that's normally a purple, the alizarin crimson. So it's normally got a purple shade in it. So if you wanted to make these more red or more purple, and it's varying from one side to another, you can add more of the pigments that are in it. So if it's got a red in it or it's got a purple in it, if you add more of that same purple, then you can make it more rich one side of the scale to the other. So that's that. I also wanted to explain another light fastness on here. I also wanted to explain about archival paper. So excuse me, archival paper can last hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's designed to resist deterioration, doesn't fade. If you have ink prints printed onto archival paper, and it's acid-free paper, it can be stored, as long as it's stored in the right way, it can be stored and kept, and the quality will stay, the print will stay, you know, as fresh. It's not going to disintegrate, it's not going to fade over time. So archival paper is good if you want something to last. So yeah, so that is a lot to do with pigments. I'm just going to call this pigments, I think, this video, just to explain, just to call it in the video list so you'll know what it's called. But have a look at your tube, see what's in them, learn about what they say on the back, what's, you know, the binder that's in it, the pigments that are in it, and do a bit of research. Get some color charts, find the numbers, and this will help you understand the root of each color and what pigments make up each color, because I think it's really important to learn that, and to know that a tube of paint is not just a tube of paint in any color. You could probably get the pigments and match that paint and make that paint yourself. Not everyone wants to make their own paint, but it's good to know what pigments are in each color. So do some research and arm yourself with information. Okay, thank you. That's all for now. Bye bye.